Hey, Warpugs. This is Rise of the Primarch from DQVO, and this is something that has been requested for a very long time. Now, we already checked out something else from DQVO. It was awesome. We're going to be checking this out pretty soon here, and the fun part for me is, well, really, I'm a big fan of any kind of voice work. I've been wanting to do it for a long time myself. But the thing about it is I have a voice for print. It sucks. It just is what it is, Warpugs. And I feel terrible right now, so there's that. Guys, so there's a lot to be said about what happened in the lore when Guilliman came back. A lot of people, including myself, were kind of unhappy with the direction they took, where they made Abaddon a threat after he had been a joke for so long. But after a while to sit back and think about it, I understand, I get it. They had to make it to where, you know, the big bad was actually doing big bad things for a change. But when I heard that Guilliman woke up, I was thinking, finally, they're advancing the plot of this. Now, the big question is, who's next? Guilliman's back, the Lion's back. Who is next? Warpugs, DQVO, all links will be in the description down below. Let's get right into it. Gavthorpe.
The Inquisitor swore again as she saw Kor hunched spider-like over the controls of his auto-reliquary. The Magus' metallic fingers danced around runic keys, his mechadendrites slithering from one socket port to another, while the Inari and Skitarii stood guard over him. Beside them stood the Ultramarines' chief librarian, warp light glowing from his eyes and weaving around his skull-topped stave. As Greyfax watched, several frothing berserkers charged at Togurius. The librarian barked a sting of syllables that caused the Khorne worshippers to implode in a crumpled mass of flesh and metal.
That is called pain.
Greyfax's Cyoculum burbled confused readings as the life energies of the three berserkers left their bodies, but did not vanish altogether. Ghost returns flickered around the two Inari, and Greyfax's suspicions of the Eldar deepened as she realized that they had, in some fashion that she did not yet comprehend, been empowered by the stolen animus.
Yay!
Greyfax pushed herself to her feet again, intending to dash across the open ground and command Kor to cease in the name of the Holy Ordos. At that moment, a stitching line of autocannon fire marched along the top of the pew. Explosions of fire and shrapnel burst around the Inquisitor, hurling her from her feet. Greyfax fired back at her attackers, lashing out with her telepathic powers as she did so. But she was, for the moment, pinned in place. Marneus Calgar swung his right gauntlet in a punishing arc, hammering it up through his enemy's guard and catching a Chaos Terminator square under the jaw. His enemy's helm disappeared in a blizzard of metal and blood. His
Sounds
corpse
fun.
slamming down onto its back with bone-breaking force. Before the traitor even hit the ground, Calgar was already turning on the spot, both gauntlets held out from his body and bolters thundering.
And if you want to know how overpowered Marneus Calgar is, 5-ish minute lore Marneus Calgar.
The chapter master revolved in a half circle, blazing rounds into black legionaries on every side and eviscerating another of them with explosive shells. Blocking the return swipe of a crackling power mace, Calgar prepared to swing another titanic blow into his enemies. Then he caught sight of movement at the base of Guilliman's throne, and cold horror clenched in his chest. Calgar saw the Martian priest step back from his auto-reliquary with the air of one completing a satisfying task. The dome-shaped device hummed forward, unfurling like the petals of some huge, carnivorous flower. The watching chapter master was at the wrong angle to see inside the machine, but he had a fleeting impression of glowing energies unfurling mechadendrites, clamping pincer limbs and whirring bone drills that filled him with revulsion. The auto-reliquary was rising and stretching out, enfolding the Primarch's form in its metallic embrace.
This had to be a moment of clarity, because you're about to be the chapter master who let Dad get hurt.
At the same moment, the Xenos witch priestess lunged with preternatural grace, evading whistling bolt shells as she raised her blade high.
No!
Bellowed Calgar, finding his voice.
I command you to stop! In the Emperor's name, Brother Tigurius, stop them!
The chapter master's dismay rose to new heights as Tigurius looked straight at him and shook his head.
Do it!
Shouted the chief librarian, blazing psychic energies into the foe that pressed close all around.
And may the Emperor condemn me if you have played me false, Xenos.
In desperation, Calgar raised his bolters and prepared to fire at the Eldar witch, but Ivrain's blade fell lightning fast, hacking through the cabling that fed power to Guilliman's stasis field. Energies flared, and from within the closing arms of the auto-reliquary, Calgar heard a rattling sigh that would haunt him until his dying day.
What have you done?
He roared, despair and fury blazing through him like a firestorm.
A little bit pissed off, Malgar is.
Fists clenched, Calgar turned upon the traitors that had forced this terrible tragedy to come to pass, and waded back into the fight with unstoppable fury. The auto-reliquary engulfed Rabute Guilliman and his throne entirely. Runic designators and auto-lumen flickering in mesmerizing patterns across its surface. As though spurred by the sight, the Black Legionaries redoubled the intensity of their attack. The foremost Black Legionaries were mere yards away from the foot of Guilliman's throne when the rune panels on Call's auto-reliquary flickered from red to green.
Hooray!
A single chime sounded. A clear, pure note that cut through the clangor like a knife.
Tendies are done!
The Archmagus himself, fighting back-to-back with the Inarian Chief Librarian Tigurius, emitted an uncharacteristic blurt of binaric triumph. The next moment, the outstretched armatures of the auto-reliquary folded back with a gaseous hiss to reveal a sight of breathtaking splendor. Where before Rabute Guilliman had sat, a pale, stasis-locked revenant, now the Primarch stood, awake, alert, and very much alive. His presence was immense, dominant as a thunderhead suddenly filling the shrine with its crushing pressure. Guilliman was clad in a magnificent new suit of armor, an ornate masterwork that had traveled all the way from the forges of Mars within Call's auto-reliquary. In one hand, the Ultramarine's Primarch held the blade of the Emperor, lit now from hilt to tip with leaping flames, and in his eyes was a look of such murderous intensity that even the loyalists within the shrine quailed to see it.
Dad's back and he's pissed.
It was as though a spell had settled over the shrine. Though outside the din of war thundered on, within that echoing chamber, friend and foe alike stared awestruck at the legendary figure, reborn in their midst. An incoherent scream of rage shattered the silence. A single Khorne berserker charging headlong through the stunned combatants to launch himself in a flying leap at the Primarch.
Congratulations to Baloney Mist Cloud number 1.
Guilliman moved with such blistering speed that the Inari themselves would have struggled to match it. His burning blade drew a pyrotechnic arc through the air as it swung, bisecting the Khorne berserker at the waist and hurling his severed halves to the ground. As the Chaos Worshipper's armored corpse crashed to the floor, the spell was broken. With a great howl of hate, the Black Legion warriors surged towards Rabute Guilliman, Wordlessly, the noble demigod strode to meet them, and the carnage truly began. First to die was the sorcerer whose powers had shaken the temple to its foundations.
Too bad.
Guilliman raised his mighty gauntlet, the Hand of Dominion.
The only problem with Guilliman coming back is he didn't immediately kill the Tau.
A storm of armor-piercing fire erupted from beneath it to rip the tainted psyche to pieces. Next to fall were the remaining Black Legion berserkers. Following their comrades' example, they flung themselves screaming at the reborn Primarch.
Good game.
Like their fellow, they were reduced to so much armored meat, smashed from the air with terrifying speed. Guilliman was running now, storming forward through the hail of bolts and shells unleashed by the Black Legionnaires. Rounds exploded against the Primarch's armor, but none could pierce its inviolable plates. As he crashed into the front ranks of the Black Legionnaires, Guilliman let out a building roar of pure, undiluted fury. The Primarch's first blow threw a Black Legionnaire high into the air, blood streaming behind the corpse in a red trail.
Yeet!
His second strike smashed a traitor Terminator into a bronze and marble column with enough force to drive the Chaos Worshipper clean through it.
That
and
hurts.
out the other side. The spiked power fist swung for Guilliman's chest, only to be locked from its wielder's arm before the blow could land. Guilliman's return swing parted his attacker's head from his shoulders, cauterizing the stump of the traitor's neck as the body crumpled to the floor. On it went, the Primarch moving with such speed that even the heretic's superhuman reactions couldn't save them. None could match Guilliman. None could even come close. And the few opponents that landed lucky blows found their weapons turned aside by the Primarch's masterwork armor. Tagorius released a thunderous barrage of psychic energies, thumping tectonic shockwaves that hurled heretic Astartes from their feet and shattered their armor like porcelain. The chief librarian felt Guilliman's gaze upon him then, for just a heartbeat. The Primarch's appraising stare seemed to strip Tagorius down to his soul.
Yeah.
And Guilliman stormed on through the enemy ranks. With every blow, the Primarch of the Ultramarines sent mutated corpses tumbling through the air. His expression was graven granite and frozen hate, a mask of vengeful anger that had endured millennia. For Guilliman, his last memory was a desperate battle against a tainted brother, a fraternal contest of godlike strength and barbed, hateful taunts, then poison and pain beyond endurance. Now he found himself in strange surroundings, facing a twisted horde of creatures that were nightmarish parodies of the Adeptus Astartes ideal. Not that his apparent allies struck Guilliman as much more familiar, but he could at least detect who in the vast sepulchre was tainted by chaos, and who was not. For now, that was enough.
Yay!
The Primarch compartmentalized his questions for later and concentrated solely on the battle at hand.
The one thing that everybody was saying that was going to happen the second that Rabute woke up, because we knew Rabute was coming back because of the models and everything like that. We knew he was coming back. But when this book came out, I quite literally was just sitting there going, he is going to wake up, and then the only thing that you're going to hear out of McCrae for the next at least 3 to 5 months is going to be the sound of Rabute Guilliman head-butting the wall over and over again to get the pain to stop from what the hell happened to the Imperium. The sheer amount of lunacy that would have been taking place in front of Guilliman's eyes that he would just simply have had to process would be incredible. The sheer amount, like, Rabute went to sleep when the Emperor was still just a man. He woke up to where it was a state religion. That has to really screw with your head. I'm just saying, on a fundamental level, that's got to start screwing with your head, bugs. It's not exactly a friendly experience, I'll just say that. Now, as far as everything else went, he took it relatively well. He didn't murder everybody, which I was sitting there saying, That is a... I was sitting there saying it's a very high probability that Guilliman is going to lose his shit. It's just like, it's a high probability that Guilliman is going to lose his ever-loving mind. But, unfortunately he did. We did not get the Primarch crash out. We didn't get that. I'm kind of waiting for one. I'm kind of waiting for Primarch to just come back and be like, what the hell is wrong with all of you? Guys, DQVO, check him out. Links are in the description. Did an amazing job with this. I like to say Wittiest one, mainly because there's more dialogue. This one was just straight reading. He did a great job with it. He should be reading audiobooks. I'm just saying. I would have loved to hear some I would have loved to have heard some dialogue besides what, you know, the little bit that was in there from Calgar, which he did an amazing job with. Of course he did. Guys, check him out. Links in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you guys next time.